Welcome to the Mindful Mama podcast. This is episode 242.
You're listening to the Mindful Mama podcast, episode number 242. Today we have a special on-air coaching call talking about pandemic parenting problems. Welcome to the Mindful Mama podcast. Here it's about becoming a less irritable, more joyful parent. At Mindful Mama, we know that you cannot give what you do not have. And when you have calm and peace within, then you can give it to your children. I'm your host, Hunter Clark-Field's Mindful Mama mentor. I help smart, thoughtful parents stay calm so they can have strong, connected relationships with their children. I've been practicing mindfulness for over 20 years. I'm the creator of the Mindful Parenting course and membership, and I'm the author of Raising Good Humans, a mindful guide to breaking the cycle of reactive parenting and raising kind, confident kids. Welcome back, dear listener. I am so glad you are here. In just a moment, I'm going to be sitting down with Tammy, a mindful parenting member whose 6-year-old daughter has been yelling at her. And, this is part of what's been happening in the world, right? The pandemic is creating inordinate amounts of stress for both us parents and kids. And kids, unfortunately, show that stress with behavior problems because their whole stress response, their fight, flight, or freeze system is in overdrive, and they actually don't really know how to handle it. So we're going to talk about how to handle this behavior. And so I want you to listen for some really important takeaways, how kids' behavior problems, are often really a sign of stress, how we have to really look underneath the behavior to think about what kids need. And we're going to talk about some important strategies to help you and your child regulate your emotions. This is going to be a really valuable episode for you. I can guarantee it. And before we dive in, I want to let you know that I have another awesome free training. This is the season of free trainings because we have the Unmartyr Yourself Challenge coming up. And it's going to be live October 14th through 19th. And we're going to be talking about that whole harmful mommy martyr mindset, right? And I'm going to really want to walk you through some ways that are really concrete, practical ways to help you really reclaim your time, your sanity, and your energy that you bring to the world through this challenge. And so I'm excited for you to be part of it. You can go to mindfulmamamentor.com/unmartyr. That's mindfulmamamentor.com/UNMARTYR, or just go to mindfulmamamentor.com, go in the resources, you'll find it, and sign up. And there's this awesome, really eye-opening self-care assessment that you get as soon as you sign up. So this is really valuable. So check it out. And the Unmartyr Yourself Challenge is a way for us to kick off the Mindful Mama Transformation Coaching Group. I have a small group coaching program that is going to be running starting this fall, late this fall, going into next year. And it is really about doing the deeper work of becoming a mindful mama that you can be, and doing it with a small sisterhood. And it's really about a wonderful deep dive. So if you want to learn more about that, go to mindfulmamamentor.com/group coaching. There are only 6 spots and some are already going. So if you're interested, reach out right away and apply for a spot. And I think that's all I have to announce. We have the group coaching, the Unmartyr Yourself Challenge. Yay, so many fun things coming up that are definitely very helpful. So I invite you to join me. And I know that you're going to really get a lot out of this episode too. So let's dive in and listen to this on-air coaching call. Tammy, thanks so much for coming on the Mindful Mama podcast. You've been a longtime member of Mindful Parenting, and it's nice to see you again. And I know you're here for a challenge, to discuss a challenge. But first, what are some wins that you can acknowledge for yourself?
For myself, or for just with my family? So
how about both? One of each.
Okay. Well, the one that I have here is, one of my wins is the children allowing me to bring reading back into bedtime. So for a while, they were really fighting me reading to them reading to me. And now at bedtime, I have both children reading to me from a book that they have chosen.
Oh,
So
cool.
That's a huge win because I feel like reading is so important.
Yeah. Yay for reading. And then what about for you?
Well, I started doing a yoga class virtually with the yoga studio downtown. So I do that one morning a week. But I've also been getting up earlier in the morning and going for walks outside when it's still cool.
That's so nice. I feel like going for a walk is kind of an extra nice thing now that we're all in the house with each other all the time. Good. And how is that feeling for you?
Good. I really like being outside by myself without any of the kind of challenges that I've been having. And I do it in the morning where the kids half the time don't even realize that I'm gone because they're watching their morning TV show. So
Nice.
It's like just to get out and be one with nature, and it's calm. It's before the day starts. So it's just really
That sounds great. Nice. Good habits. I like it. Good. All right. Well, now shall we dive in to the challenge? Dun, dun, dun.
Sure.
So tell us how old your kids are.
I have a 6-year-old girl and I have an 8-year-old boy.
All right, cool. And I think it's your 6-year-old daughter that's been pushing some buttons lately, huh?
Lots of buttons, yeah.
Yes. All right, so tell us what's happening.
It could, and I don't know what triggers it, but it feels like for her, everything's an emergency and she needs it now. And if I put her off or ask her to wait, then the crying starts, the yelling, she kind of starts bossing me around and giving me ultimatums. And it's the point now where I'm not even sure what to do. I was talking to my husband a little bit about this before we started here, and he says that I can be annoying sometimes when I'm trying to talk to them. So I don't know if coming from the person who sits there quietly and doesn't intervene when these things are happening, but it's just been really challenging for me.
So do you think he's kind of seeing it from their point of view when he says that? How do you interpret that?
I don't know. Because then when I asked him what should I do? Because I don't know what to do. He has no back for that. So it's like, and I mean, that's why I'm here today, because I really have this challenge and I'm doing all kinds of reading and breathing and talking to them, and it's just not clicking. So I must.
Okay. It's incredibly frustrating, and you're feeling like this stuck point. It sounds like okay, what do I do? And so so you said she's yelling back at you, and she's kind of like talking back at you, and yelling at you. So can you kind of describe a situation that would trigger that kind of behavior, or can you think of an example?
She could come up and ask me, "Mom, I need help with something," and I'd say I'm in the middle of something because I'm trying to work. Then it's like, "No, I need it now. I need it right now." And then she keeps asking, and I keep asking her to, "Can you do it in a little while? Mommy's really trying to concentrate. I need a little bit more time." And it just it escalates. It could start where we're sitting down to eat dinner and I put ketchup on her hamburger, or I didn't. Like it's like anything. I feel like anything triggers her.
So she's pretty highly sensitive right now, and it seems it's like a change that's been since when?
I feel like it's with the quarantine, since we've been locked together, and she doesn't have that other side of her life where she expects me to be everything and do everything for her, with her, when she wants me to. But yeah, it's definitely since we've been holed up in our house. Just everything's a fight.
And so, yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense to me. As you say that um, she's she's having this reaction, right? She's actually that stress response is fight, flight, or freeze, or I think faint might be one now that they include. But anyway, fight, flight, or freeze, and you're getting some fight. Sounds like
Serious fight.
yeah.
Yeah.
And and I think that we can really look at her, and if we kind of start to broaden our lens like of awareness, you can see like what are the stressors in her life, right? Like quarantine is a huge stressor for all of us, and really for kids. They have no control. They have so little control. They have no social outlet, no friends to play with. Maybe physically they're restricted, right? So if you could kind of step in to her shoes a little and describe what might be causing stress for her, can you kind of imagine from her point of view, what are the things that might be causing some stress for her?
I'm not sure what's causing it. I mean, I feel like we have things pretty good here.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe she wants control. She's trying to get everyone in the house to do as she says when she says it. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she doesn't have that independent control that she did before, because we're always home together and it's the rules. And we've even had family meetings where we go over the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And she just doesn't like it. She just doesn't like the rules.
Mm-hmm.
She like me telling her, things that she needs to do, like not even difficult things, but normal chores. We have battles in the morning to wash up and brush your teeth, battles about brushing your hair, like all things that is a personal responsibility
Mm-hmm.
To keep the house harmonious and running. You got to be clean. You got to clean up after yourself. One of my big complaints is when my children decide when they're done with something, they can just drop it on the ground and walk away from it.
OMG, I know just what you're talking about.
Like,
I'm right there with you.
it's frustrating.
Super frustrating.
I try every day to come in with, I meditate. I try to come in every day, maybe approach it a little bit differently, but I always end up sort of in the same. Then I get into the fight or flight and I start getting angry, and then we're both angry. It's
downward
really
spiral.
I start taking like these ridiculous deep breaths to try to calm myself down. But yeah, it's challenging.
Okay. All right. So you're identifying some really crucial things here. So first of all, you're all in quarantine, which is stressful. Like, even if it's been like X number of months now and where it feels sort of normal, and we kind of have this part of our brain is like, oh yes, we should be fine with this, but it's not really fine. It's different, and it's stressful because we're social creatures and we inter-are with other people. And that's a really important part of our well-being, really, for kids too. And you're saying she wants control. So that's a very common reaction for both adults and kids in a real uncertain situation, is to want to have control. But then you're saying like she doesn't have any control. Like she didn't have any say in the rules. So she doesn't like the rules. She wants to, it sounds like she's really battling for some autonomy, right? So she's wanting some autonomy, and she may also be needing some, especially at a 6-year-old, she's not that far out of preschool, really. Like she at that age, kids co-regulate their emotions with us, right? Our emotions are a big indicator of their emotions. And our practices, what you're doing, all those practices, like going on that walk, and you're practicing to recognize that stress response and calm it down. Those are so important, because you calming down and doing a mindfulness practice or doing mindful walking, that will actually affect the whole family. So that's really awesome that you're taking those steps. But what I'm kind of hearing from you also is that this, like, as she starts to respond, as she starts to yell, you get triggered. And so are you yelling too?
I'm trying not to.
Uh-huh.
But then I think that's when I start to become a little bit annoying because I'm trying not to be something that I am.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
so, I may start talking like shorter sentences, like I get snippy, right? And
Mhm.
that's not helpful either, but I'm not quite sure what is the best way to respond. So sometimes I end up taking a deep breath and leaving the room. You
Mhm.
know, times um, maybe I'll stay and try to calm myself down.
Mhm.
But I'm really trying to get her. I'm like, I feel like we're really upset right now. Why don't we take some deep breaths, right? Let's try to get her
Mhm.
to calm herself down so then we can maybe have a conversation instead of this yelling that gets louder and then the crying starts and then my husband will intervene and send her to her room, which I know that's not necessarily the best thing either. So then I go try to sit in her room with her while she's upset. So it's been all over the place.
Okay. So this is okay. It's super frustrating, but I can identify a couple areas that might be helpful for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Um, so when she's coming over to ask you something or whatever, what I'm kind of hearing as you describe the situation is there might be one a crucial piece that may be missing here, and that's the acknowledgement piece. And I'm wondering, when she and this I say acknowledgement in general because it might be for both of you. Um, and acknowledgement means just like saying what you see and acknowledging verbally out loud what's going on for you. So she comes over, Mommy, I need you right now. And you say, Hey, babe, I'm working. I can't right now. Wait, but I need you right now. I need you right now. And that's a clue for you that your first message didn't work. And so she has some um, overriding, like she has some need that's making her push beyond your boundaries there, right? And so this would be a sign, and it actually, it sounds like it's going to take more time, but it actually will end up shortcutting like the whole maybe downward spiral perhaps, is to like, and for me, I find I need to like, I have a laptop on my computer. I literally need to put that lid halfway down so I won't look at the screen, and I literally need to turn my body completely away so that I'm signaling to my body and mind that I'm like just stepping out of work mode for a moment. And that piece about like acknowledging what she's saying. So we talk about that in mindful parenting as like how to help your kids solve their problems, right? Is like that big tool is reflective listening. So when she's coming to you and she's said that to you a couple of times, how could you reflect that back to her? How could you just show her like I acknowledge what you hear, I see you, I hear you right now. Stay tuned for more Mindful Mama podcast right after this break. We all know that this school year will be unlike any other, whether your kids are going back to school or logging into a classroom from home. And as parents, it can be really time consuming to give your kids the extra help they might need this year. Well, here's a bit of help. Hands-on science and art projects that you can get delivered to your door. And I don't know if you're like me, but it seems like the arts are a little neglected in online learning. Oh my goodness. This company, KiwiCo, can deliver a science fair or art class right to your door. I was even surprised by how much I loved these as an adult. The KiwiCo crates are so much fun. My older daughter got the Eureka crates and worked on the most amazing kit. She was lit up by it. She worked on a wooden ukulele and she built a real Honestly, a real wooden ukulele, a 4-string concert ukulele that she can play herself and explore the science of sound waves. It is so cool, and she is so proud and loves this project. And I love how she could do it all on her own, which was so neat. Your child can get super cool hands-on science, art, and geography projects delivered to their door every month. They'll be so excited to see these arrive in the mail. My kids get so psyched, especially at a time when they might be unable to go to fun places like museums. This is a really fun activity that comes straight to them, and you'll really be surprised at how high quality the materials are too. These are real engineering, science, and art projects for children. There are different crates for kids of all ages, so there's something for every kid on your list. There's no commitment, so you can pause or cancel anytime. KiwiCo is redefining learning with hands-on projects that build confidence, creativity, and critical thinking skills. There's something for every kid or kid at heart at KiwiCo. Get 30% off your first month plus free shipping on any crate line with the code HUNTER at kiwico.com. That's 30% off your first month at kiwico.com. Use the promo code HUNTER. It's an amazing way to both support this podcast and get these amazing hands-on science, art, geography projects delivered right to your door. It's so worth it. kiwico.com, promo code HUNTER.
Yeah, I do try to do some of the reflective listening. Oh, you need mom right now, right?
Okay, yeah.
And it's important. It's really, really important to you.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
but it doesn't always work.
Yeah. No, it won't always work. No. Nothing is 100% foolproof. Okay, but that's great. Like saying that piece of like, this is super important to you. I hear you right now. Yes. Like this is so important to you. And that's when you want to shift back to like your iMessage, right? So this is really, really important to you right now. I see. I get it, honey. And not but and what's your iMessage?
I really need to concentrate on my work right now, so I can. I sometimes I tell her if mom doesn't get her work done, her manager is going to be mad, right? So if I can't meet my deadline, then
Yeah.
I could be in trouble at work.
That's great. So I got to do this work because this is important. I could get in trouble with my manager. And how does some of those messages land? Like if you did some reflective listen, I hear you, I get this, and this is why this is important to me.
And this is the frustrating part: is she wants what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
I know she's 6, but I don't necessarily feel like she respects some of the boundaries that we have set for that.
Yeah, she's 6, so she may not. She's a kid. Yeah.
Just trying to get her to understand that I'm not here for her at her beck and call, like every second she needs me.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple things here, like, you're doing great. You're listening to what she's saying, acknowledging, and that creates a connection. Like I see you and I hear you. And then you're saying your iMessage, like, hey babe, when you interrupt me like this, I can't do my work. And this is really important because I could get in trouble. And this is how we pay for our house and our livelihood. This is really important. So you may have to like repeat a couple different versions of that. And what I would offer then is to kind of think about like, what is her need at that moment, right? What is she needing? And like in some of the other moments you talked about, she's wanting control, right? She's wanting autonomy. And control may be part of that, but I also am seeing she's wanting to connect with you.
Mm.
And she may be feeling stressed, uncomfortable in any number of different ways because this pandemic is stressing her kids out, right? And little kids, they regulate their feelings by connecting with mom or dad, right? By connecting with you and using that as a way to ground themselves and to regulate themselves. So if you could see that part of her need may be for connection, could you think about other ways that in that moment you could try to like somehow meet that need either in the moment or maybe a little later?
Yeah. I have built into our daily routine some mom time.
Oh,
So they
great.
know this time is mom time. But like today, the kids and yesterday and the day before, then they fight each other because they both want to do what they want to do and they don't want to do what their sibling wants to do. So
Oh,
then
oh,
they
oh, yeah.
then they end up fighting with each other. So then I'm breaking up a fight, trying to deal with mom time, and I'm like, why am I upset when this is our time to have fun with each other?
That sounds terrible. Sounds really frustrating. So mom time, it's kind of sounds like you're doing like a special time, but what's really vital about that connection time, it sounds like, is that especially with siblings, like it's good to have that one-on-one connection time where you say to, older brother, all right, do some more Minecraft. You get 10 more minutes of Minecraft. And you know what, younger sister, these 10 minutes, I'm yours. I'm going to give you these 10 minutes. I'm totally yours. We can play whatever you want to do besides screen time and, and like going to get cotton candy. But, I'm here for you. We can do whatever you want to do. And then you use that time to just hang out and practice almost like a meditation on your child. Even if you're like doing something as inanely like mind numbing as Candyland, which she's probably not playing at 6. But regardless, if you're doing even something like really incredibly boring and like skull crushing, like playing Barbies or something, think of it instead of, you may have the resistance and you have all the thoughts of like, oh God, this is so boring. I'm going to die. But notice those thoughts, notice that resistance, and see if you can almost spend that as like a 10-minute meditation period where you're redirecting your attention with kindness and compassion to your child. You're bringing curiosity to your child. Who is she right now? What is she needing right now? What is she acting out right now? What really trying to understand her, and be a kind and compassionate observer of your child. And so that you can use that time to kind of just chill, have nothing else on the agenda. Don't try to chop vegetables, or I know I totally get distracted by like wiping surfaces. I would like wipe surfaces while I'm doing that. Try to like refrain from that. It's kind of like when you pick at your toenail polish in yoga. You practice instead to be present at this time with your child. But I would try to do that if you're able to. And this may not happen every day by far, but like maybe 3 times a week, but individually with each child.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I do a part of that because at bedtime every night they get snuggled from mom.
Oh, good.
It's a 5-minute, it always goes more than 5 minutes, but it's a 5-minute snuggle where we can read, we can snuggle, we can talk, we can do whatever they want for that amount of time. Then it's bedtime. And I instituted that a few years ago when my son would always fall asleep at the top of the stairs waiting for me.
Oh.
So I would started instituting, instead of them constantly calling for me at the top of the stairs, I would give them snuggle time. And they figured out 5 minutes. So it was like 5 minutes of snuggle time for each child individually at bedtime every night. So, but I feel maybe I need another dose of that someplace throughout the day.
Yeah, that would be great because really, I think for me, that relationship bank account metaphor just works so well in so many situations. And here too, like you've had these situations with your daughter's behavior, you've had to make a lot of withdrawals from that relationship bank account. And so you want to be putting in deposits. And they say, you want to make like 5 positive connections for every 1 negative one. And why they say that, the researchers, because the way our brains have a negativity bias, including our children, that they our brains tend to just latch on to negative things and make a big story, make a big deal out of the negative things, and make that the defining thing. Whereas, so if we can try, that might be a great goal in the next couple weeks, is to just like aim for 5 positive interactions, maybe aim for that special time with your daughter, so that you have some deposits in your relationship bank account, so that when you need to make a withdrawal, there's something there,
Yeah.
All right. So how is this sounding so far? Kind of this just shift, little subtle shifts here.
It sounds good. It sounds like I already have a lot of stuff in place, but I just need to tweak it a little bit because it's not landing right. Because I honestly feel like I'm trying so hard to not yell and to make that connection, but I'm just must be missing the mark.
And part of sometimes when we are like trying to be calm and trying to be like present and stuff like that, but we're actually really kind of frustrated because maybe we're stressed or whatever situation, sounds like that some of that might be happening for you. And like, our kids have incredibly well-honed BS meters.
Mm.
And they see right through that. And so that's why when I was talking about acknowledgement, I mean for you too, for you to say out loud, I'm starting to get really frustrated. I'm feeling my muscles get tight in my shoulders. This is, I've asked you a bunch of times, and this is starting to be really frustrating for me. That acknowledgement of saying that out loud, it really does help. It's, Dan Siegel calls it name it to tame it, because it's like providing some of that relief. Like, oh, that verbal acknowledgement provides a little relief from the feeling itself, but also it's like a kind of a bell of mindfulness for you, like of, okay, if I've said I'm starting to get frustrated like 5 times, that's a sign for you that stress response is really kind of building up. And it would be a good time to, if you're able to, take a break, stop what you're doing, even if your daughter's there. Maybe you could, if your daughter's there, you could say, honey, I'm starting to feel so frustrated. I imagine you are too. Listen, could you do a 3 breath hug with me, with mommy?
Mhm.
And that's a really nice thing to do. And so you hold each other and you just take a deep breath in and out 3 times together, hugging each other. And it's kind of brilliant because, and this comes from the tradition of Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, that 3 breath hug. He calls it hugging meditation. And it's kind of brilliant because not only do you both co-regulate, like you help each other's stress response calm down, but it kind of gives you like the right amount of time to hug. It's like we've done this, and it's a nice long hug. So you've noticed, you've named it to tame it. You're noticing you're frustrated. Maybe you offer that 3 breath hug if she's there. If she's just stomped off and you're like, I've just been saying I'm frustrated 5,000 times, that's a sign for you to not just like grit your teeth and go back to work. It's a sign to just take literally 30 seconds, put a hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, close your eyes, and take a deep breath in a big sigh. Like a big sigh breath. Come on, do it with me. Deep breath in, big loud sigh. One more. And the research shows actually the louder and more dramatically you sigh, that the more it changes your brain chemistry, and you can know that fight, flight, or freeze stress response is making your muscles tense. It's, heightening your blood pressure. It's making, it's doing all those things. So it really is a physical response to sigh it out, and even to like shake your hands. Just think about moving that energy through your body, and you can, like Tammy and I are now shaking our hands, dear listener. Like you just shake your hands. You can even shake your arms, and just kind of think about, okay, I've had some stress response. There's some tension built up in my body. You could even like jump up and down a little, shake it out. Really, literally, it's an energy in the body that if we don't process it, like really, it only can take like 30 seconds to process it. it just tends to then the next stressful thing kind of builds up onto it, and then we're yelling because all that stress is kind of built up throughout the day. So how does that sound? Both of those sort of strategies.
Sounds good. I really like the 3-breath hug. And we do a lot of hugging. That just might be one. Because usually I like, let's take some deep breaths together, right? And I get, Mom, you're ridiculous. Exactly. But maybe adding the hug part to it might get a little bit more agreement, because it's hard to refuse a hug from Mom.
Yeah, and what I say is, I need a hug. Not you need a hug. Like, that's kind of judgy. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to do that. But like, right. I say, I need a hug right now. Can you give me a big hug? I could use a 3-breath hug. And that's true anyway,
Right. Right.
All right, cool. So we have some responses for you in that moment. We have some ways to kind of build that connection, that relationship bank account. So she's wanting to cooperate more, right? Because that connection makes our kids want to cooperate more, and it'll lower her resistance to any of your iMessages. Now, I want to kind of circle back to like part of the big picture problem here, which is, she's a little stressed and wanting to control things, right? And she's kind of like rebelling against kind of the rules and the different things like that. Would you be open to having a meeting with the family kind of about the rules, or not about the rules, but about the things that need to get done in the house? And so what you would do some win-win problem solving around this. And what you would do is you'd tell your kids, like, we want to make sure that, we're going to really listen to you. We want to make sure that you get what your needs met, but also that Daddy and I get our needs met. And one of your needs is a need for fairness, right? That's really an innate need that everybody has. And so you can talk about, Daddy and I need it to be fair around the house, that, you guys take some responsibilities, but we want to talk about maybe and we want to be honor what your needs are and what you might like. And so one of the most successful ways I've done this with my own family is to make it really visible for little kids, is to literally like write down on a piece of paper all the jobs, or putting away the dishes, setting the table, wiping the table, vacuuming, sweeping the patio, all those different things. You write down all those things, and then to make it really visible for little kids, the way that was most successful for us is that we took a piece of paper, and there's 4 of you in your family, so this will work out well. So we divided it in 4, and we wrote Mommy, Daddy, and Maggie and Sora, and then we had all these jobs, and we said, okay, this is the way it is now, and we put all the jobs. And so there's this huge list under Bill and I's names, and we said, we feel frustrated because it feels unfair, and we need your help. What are some jobs that you would feel comfortable taking? And that's a nice way to do it. And so why I'm suggesting that is because your daughter wants to have some say in things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's also nice to do this and then have ice cream afterwards, right? Like have something fun afterwards. But and it's not like, if we do this, then we get ice cream. It's just like, first we're going to do this thing. Hey, and then we're going to celebrate by going out for ice cream. Okay. But yeah, your daughter wants some say in things, and to ask her and to say, what would you like to take, is just so much nicer than someone on high pushing down some job onto you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you can imagine that, right? Like, if you're, it's like, just what would you like to take? And probably you and your husband are going to be happy that she's like willing to do anything. I imagine. I mean, at least that's what we've done. And so we've done this a couple times with our daughters, and they just they're like, okay. And sometimes my youngest daughter has been like, well, we're like, honey, there's a lot in my column. There's a lot in daddy's column. And I feel, I'll give an iMessage like, I feel frustrated that it's not really that fair for me. And she's like, oh, okay. And she's like, I'll take on watering the plants. I'm like, okay, great. And so she waters the plants. And so the way that we try to step out of the role of the enforcer is that we just make sure the job, we do our responsibilities before our fun stuff. And so, we just do the responsibilities before, make sure those things are done before there's some screen time in the afternoon or something like that, let's just take a look. So the way we say that around the house is like, okay, let's just take a look out for, what are the responsibilities you need to be that are around, that you could get done. And we just do that before screen time. It's not, if you don't do it, you're not going to get your screen time. Like, that's not what we want to say. That's a whole threatening thing. But it's like, hey, we do this and then we do screen time. So that's just the way it is, right? There's not as much to argue with. And it's not perfect. Like, you're not going to have any system where you have zero conflict in your house, but it does help to really pull them into that that piece of what can you do, how can you help.
Sounds good.
Can you imagine this meeting happening?
I can, yeah.
All right, cool. And give me a preview of what your iMessage is going to be about these things.
Oh boy. I've been feeling frustrated, and things aren't getting done around the house that should be. So let's come up with a plan and decide who's going to do what chores around the house.
Okay. And, when you talk to your kids about this, like, we're going to make sure we listen to you, and we're going to, we want to ask them what their needs are, right? Too. Like, what are you needing, as far as responsibilities around the house? Like, do you need, I don't know, sometimes kids need crazy things. Like, it's great to involve kids in conversations like this. 'Cause like, you never know what's going to happen. Like, you can talk to a kid about brushing their teeth, and they'll come up with, well, it's okay, I'll brush my teeth if I can brush them in the living room. Fine, okay, brush your teeth in the living room, I don't care, like, that's great, like, do that for a while, because they just want that autonomy. Sometimes we don't have to be the ones to have to solve all the problems. We can ask for their input and say, okay, we've got a problem, this feels unfair. How can we solve this problem together? Okay. All right. So Tammy, tell me what some of your takeaways are.
Well, I'm going to really try to get some more individual time to connect with each child instead of doing it together, because like the fighting just hasn't been working, and maybe repeat different versions of my I statement or what I'm seeing is happening if she's not hearing what I'm saying. And if she comes up and I'm working, make sure that I'm acknowledging her by closing down what I'm doing and facing her so she knows that she has my attention. I'm going to aim for 5 positive interactions a day. I'm going to institute the 3 breath hugs, and I'm just going to start trying to notice more the resistance and bring kindness and compassion into it instead of getting frustrated.
Awesome. Yeah.
A lot of good takeaways.
Very good. Yeah, you're both in a tough situation. It's not easy. Like, you're trying to work from home. She's trying to be a kid without connecting to friends or schools or camps. Sucks.
Yeah.
And so we kind of have to lower our expectations for ourselves and our kids in some ways. I've found myself with a lot of the same frustrations. And when I get like to be a hard ass and kind of persnickety, it doesn't help so much. It's not helpful. And when I can slow down and help myself connect first, there's like a saying, connect, then correct. So when I can connect first, and aim for those good interactions, make sure I have some of those in first. They do go a long way towards creating that cooperation we want. And then what's your plan for when everybody has a hard day and there is some yelling?
Lock myself in my room.
I guess what I'm fishing for here is I just want to offer you that there will be those times, right? Everyone will have a hard day and there will be some yelling. In those times, offer yourself some compassion. You're in a tough situation. We all are. It's not easy just being a human. Forget being a human in a pandemic in this crazy world right now with children. But offer yourself some compassion. It's not easy. There's a lot going on. Be kind to yourself. Really offer yourself that kindness, and then connect and, offer any apologies you might want to, just reconnect, and I know you're great at that. Go back to that connecting. And, sometimes conflicts can bring us ultimately closer together. They're inevitable anyway, so we might as well kind of use them to bring ourselves closer together afterwards. All right. Good luck, Tammy. Go forth and mindfully parent. Tammy's been in the membership for a long time, and she's done so much great work. So much of this was a reminder for her, but it's such a clear reminder for me, I think, how much this is not a sprint, right? This is a marathon, not a sprint. This is kind of what I've been thinking about recently, and how transforming these generational patterns, it takes time. It takes a concentrated effort, it takes support, it takes community. And that's why I love the membership, and I love providing that and creating this space for us to get together, take it to the next level. It's so cool. If you would like to take it to the next level, if you would like to join the small group coaching, I invite you to check that out. That's at mindfulmamamentor.com/group coaching. It's for really, really walking that talk, transforming that stress and mommy martyr mindset into calm, secure, grounded, peaceful mama. We've got just this one life. We need to invest in the things that are most important to us, like how we live our lives. It makes such a huge difference. Those things like clothes and couches and whatnot, they don't matter so much. And these things that really affect our daily life matter a lot. So if you're interested in the group coaching, go to mindfulmamamentor.com/group coaching. We'll be kicking it off with the Unmartyr Yourself Challenge. Join me with that. Get started with that amazing self-care assessment that is really eye-opening. And that's all at mindfulmamamentor.com. I'm wishing you well, wishing you a good week. I hope you're hanging in there with the working, home, remote learning, all the craziness that's going on for you in your life and in mine. Oh my goodness. It's not an easy time. I'm thinking about you, and, we just take it one step at a time and get the resources, get the support you need, and give yourself a lot of compassion. It's really, really important. We're not expected to do this perfectly. And I offer it to myself. I invite you to offer it to yourself. Give yourself permission to be human. I will be back in your ears next week. I have an awesome guest for you, and I'm so excited to have you here. Dr. Judy Ho, talking about how to stop self-sabotage. She's wonderful. and some amazing guests coming up. So I can't wait to be back in your ears. If you liked this, take a screenshot. Tag me on Instagram at Mindful Mama Mentor. All right, I gotta stop talking now. I'm just blathering on. I love connecting. I'm thankful. I really appreciate your ears, your listening. It means a lot to me. I'm so glad we can connect in this way. And I'm wishing you a beautiful, beautiful week, my friend, as much as you can. Thank you so much for listening. Namaste.
Hello. Hi. Okay,
Tell me a joke.
no. I don't know any.
Do you know any Harry Potter jokes?
No.
Do you know any knock-knock jokes?
Not really, no.
You must have heard this classic one.
Mm-hmm.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange who?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange who?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Banana.
Banana who?
Orange, you glad I didn't say orange? Is that how that goes?
No, I
Oh,
think
no,
it's-
I missed it.